Rogue Media Network intern is now a podcaster herself. Baylor alum and Odessa native Aubree Barton is working toward her goal of being a sports reporter with her podcast Beyond the Game. Aubree joins us now to share her love of sports and how this inspired this new endeavor. Thanks for coming today. We appreciate you being here.
Yes.
Sounds like you're a busy young lady, so we want to talk about some of the things that you're involved with and why it's so important to you. When did you graduate from Baylor, and how did you end up interning at Rogue? How did that all happen?
Yes, hi, thanks for having me. I started interning at Rogue in August of this summer, 2024. I graduated from Baylor this past May of 2024 with a communications degree, and really it's been great, and I love Rogue, and it's been awesome. I'm really happy to be with them.
How did you get plugged into Rogue?
So the way I got plugged into Rogue, it's actually a funny story. My neighbor's dad works for Sycamore 365, and he's huge in that. His name is Ashley Hodge, and he actually got me the connection with Corey, and they were super open and awesome, and they were excited to have me, and I was excited to be there, and they welcomed me on with open arms, and it's been great.
I love that. Okay, so how did the idea come about to have your own sports podcast? Where was that born for you?
So basically, I knew I wanted to work with athletes, and I thought, let's see, like interviewing athletes would be just the coolest thing, and not just interviewing athletes about football, but interviewing about their lives. And when I told Corey in our interview before he hired me on about what I wanted to do and where I wanted this to go, I told him that I really wanted to interview athletes, and he came up with the idea, how about we start a podcast about you, like interviewing college athletes? And I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. That'll open up a whole door, and it was awesome, and that's kind of where it all brainstormed from, so it was great.
As competitive as sports are these days, I mean, it takes so much drive. I bet that's something interesting for you to delve into.
Oh, absolutely.
Where do you get that drive for all these folks?
For sure.
And so you have a goal of becoming a sports reporter. How did you decide that's what you wanted to do? Where did that come from?
So growing up, my family, huge sports fans. It runs in the family, and we always, we're huge Cowboys fans. That's a whole nother story, but we're Cowboys fans, and I always grew up watching Erin Andrews, and she was a huge drive for me and a giant inspiration, and I just thought, I want to be like her one day, and she kind of really opened up this whole thing for me of wanting to be a sports reporter. So it kind of all came from that, and then just watching sports and being a big sports fan growing up.
It's great to see that representation can really inspire people to do something.
Absolutely, for sure, right. She's a great role model.
Yeah, and she's done so much.
So much in the sports world.
Did you play sports in school, and also what was your favorite sport to play and also to watch?
So I didn't play any sports in high school, but I was a high school cheerleader, and so that was a big drive for wanting to, cover sports. I always watched sports, had to cheer for sports, and so that was just huge. And watching football and basketball was so much fun, and I'd say those two are probably my favorite sports to watch, and I love that they're in 2 different seasons. So you can pick a favorite, but those can both be your favorite, and so that's really where it all came from.
You mentioned Cowboys. Who are your other teams? Who are you?
So obviously Baylor, since I graduated from Baylor. Huge Mavs fan, not super happy with what's going on with them, but it's one of those things, we'll get through it. But Mavs, really any Texas team I root for. When they're not playing Baylor or the Cowboys, I'll root for them, or the Mavs. So
fantastic. So all right, your podcast Beyond the Game, tell us about that and kind of what kinds of stories you want to share with people.
So Beyond the Game started, I think I started it in August or September, and I started just picking these athletes that I thought, had these interesting stories, and, there's so much talk about these athletes, what they do on the field, and I don't feel like it's covered enough about their inside of their lives and what, they do off the field, and so I feel like that's huge. And the world right now we need to cover is what these athletes do outside of the sports world, what they do for the community, for their families, and just who they are as a person, not on the field, but off the field, their character. And that was really just a big thing for me, is getting to share these athletes' stories and, just continuing, that, basically.
Who are some of the athletes you've interviewed so far? Can you share
So I've interviewed Matt Jones, a close friend. I grew up with him actually in Odessa at Permian High School, and I interviewed him first, and he was great. He's actually declared for the draft, and we'll see how well he does this season. So we're excited for him.
And we have to ask this question, who is your dream guest? Like if one person you could interview, your dream, put it out there because they're going to see this maybe, possibly.
My goodness.
Someone could share it. Who's your dream guest?
My dream guest would be probably Josh Allen.
Okay.
I think he is a great quarterback and he's an awesome person, and I think that would be incredible to interview someone like Josh Allen.
His positivity is pretty remarkable.
Oh, for
His attitude.
sure, absolutely.
I was combining attitude and positivity into positivity, so hopefully you get to talk to him one day and ask him about where that comes from. What do you feel like you've learned in this process of interviewing athletes? What have you taken away from it yourself?
Something I've learned, is just their lives that they, everything they do. I've just interviewed college athletes, so I only know, what goes on in their world, and just being able to share their story of their lives, and it's actually just like, it's touching to know, what goes on in these athletes' lives, and not just on the field, and knowing, and it's been inspiring to know, like, where these athletes come from and what they do and like what they come up from, and just I think it's incredible, and I've loved being able to share their stories, and I think that's been awesome. So
it seems like you've kind of talked about this at the beginning, but is there anything else you want to say about how Rogue has helped you kind of achieve your goals?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Starting out as an intern with Rogue and, continuing just learning, and them giving me so much experience and opportunity like these things, and being able to just grow my experience and like take me to the next step of what I want to do and being a sports reporter. And they've been so helpful and taught me so much, and they're continuing to help me grow every day, and I'm so happy to be with them. It's an amazing opportunity.
Nice to have the guidance and the help.
Sure.
We have a QR code on the screen where you can actually scan that to check out Beyond the Game. And just finally, any last little cap on the subject of why these stories are so important to share? Anything else you'd like to add beyond that?
I think it's super important, and I think we need to share these athletes' stories more and give them more recognition, because we don't really realize how much they put into this, and I think it needs to be recognized. So I'm here to do it, and super excited to be here. All
right, Josh Allen, listen, you got to go on Aubree's show. You can learn more about that, again, by scanning the QR code on the screen, and listen to Beyond the Game with Aubree Barton. We will be right back. Thanks so much.
Thank you.